The vow of Lui, solemn and majestic, with the Buddha sitting upright beneath the Bodhi tree, expounding the Dharma to his disciples. The resonant sounds form a protective barrier against the clamor of the mundane world. Suddenly, a beam of golden light streaked across the sky, and the next day, adorned in the glow of the rosy clouds, he descended before the Buddha's seat. The next day, with a reverent expression, he bowed respectfully to the Buddha and said, "Blessed One, I have a matter unclear to me, long hidden in my heart. Today, I have come especially to seek your guidance." The Buddha smiled gently and compassionately said, "The earth perishes, but speaking of it causes no harm." The earth disappeared and the heavens rose. With reverence, he asked, "World-honored one, what is Bodhicitta?" The disciple, having heard, said, "Bodhicitta is the fundamental root of practice and the cornerstone for attaining Buddhahood. However, this disciple is dull and slow-witted, and has yet to comprehend its true essence. I earnestly beseech the world-honored one's compassionate guidance, which I shall forever hold deeply in my heart." Upon this question being raised, all the disciples present abandoned tranquility of mind and listened attentively with reverent focus. Bodhicitta is also the greatest challenge on their path of practice. Some have practiced intensive meditation retreats for decades, yet they have never grasped the essential insight. Today, the sovereigns of the heavenly realms personally seek teachings, hoping to seize this opportunity to listen to the Buddha's voice of wisdom. After listening, the Buddha slowly scanned the eyes of each disciple present, then closed his eyes and entered deep meditation. The entire monastery instantly fell into complete silence, the tranquility of the moment profound, with everyone calming their minds and patiently awaiting the Buddha's teaching. After a long while, the Buddha slowly opened his eyes, a gentle and compassionate smile appearing at the corner of his lips. He looked toward the 10th heaven and softly said, "For the sake of all sentient beings." These 3 words, simple to the extreme, struck the hearts of everyone present like a flash of lightning. The disciples looked at each other. Some appeared thoughtful, while others wore expressions of bewilderment. On the 10th day, Weiwei immediately paid respect to the Buddha once again and said, "Shakyamuni, your wisdom is unfathomable. Though I have gained some insight, I still require further guidance to truly comprehend." The Buddha smiled and said, "Indra, contemplate carefully the profound meaning contained within these 3 words." Indra fell into deep contemplation, and the other disciples also began to meditate intensely, seeking to comprehend the true meaning of these 3 characters. At this moment, a young bhikkhu stood up and exclaimed excitedly, "World-honored one, I seem to have understood something. Is Bodhicitta the aspiration to cultivate and practice for the sake of all sentient beings, diligently striving to benefit all beings?" The Buddha nodded slightly and said, "Indeed, this is a kind of understanding. Does anyone else have other insights?" An elder bhikkhu also stood up and said, "World-honored one, your disciple believes that practice is not only for the sake of sentient beings, but also foremost to prioritize their well-being, constantly contemplating how to help sentient beings escape the sea of suffering and attain happiness." The Buddha looked at the monk with approval and said, "You have spoken well. The core of Bodhicitta is altruism, selflessly dedicating oneself to benefiting others." At this moment, Venerable Ananda also spoke. "World-honored one, I recalled the 4 immeasurables you once taught us: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Do these encompass these 4 minds for sentient beings?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Ananda, you are very skilled at drawing inferences from one instance to another. Indeed, the 4 immeasurables are the concrete manifestation of the Bodhicitta. Loving kindness is the giving of happiness to all beings, and compassion is the removal of suffering from all beings. Joy refers to delighting in the wholesome actions and merits of all sentient beings, while giving up, renunciation, means treating all beings equally without distinction of closeness or distance. At that moment, a novice monk who appeared very young suddenly stood up, trembling with excitement. He joined his palms together, tears welling in his eyes, and spoke with a trembling voice. "World-honored one, it seems the disciple has attained some understanding." All eyes were focused on this young novice monk. The Buddha looked at him with kindness and said, "Tell me, what have you realized?" The young novice took a deep breath and slowly replied, "Bhagwan, I suddenly understand that the phrase for all beings is not just a goal or method of practice. It is also a form of dependent origination." The novice monk fell silent at this point, as if he had grasped something important but was unable to accurately express it. The Buddha looked at him encouragingly and said, "Do not rush, speak slowly." The novice monk closed his eyes, took several deep breaths, then opened them and said firmly, "World-honored one, the disciple's enlightenment is a realm for all sentient beings, a state of awakening that transcends the self. When we truly immerse ourselves in serving all sentient beings, the distinction between self and others disappears, and everything becomes a pure expression of compassion and wisdom." Upon hearing these words, everyone present was stunned. They had not expected that this young novice monk could possess such profound insight. The Buddha revealed a satisfied smile and said, "Very good. You have already touched the essence of the Bodhi mind." Even on the 10th day, hearing this, he seemed to have a sudden awakening. He respectfully bowed to the Blessed One and said, "Venerable Master, I have also come to some understanding. Bodhicitta is not a mere concept, but a state of realization. It is the awakened state of mind that wholly dedicates itself to all sentient beings. But how can one attain such a state?" The Buddha looked kindly at the 10th heaven and everyone present, and spoke slowly. "Since you have already attained an initial understanding, let me further reveal to you the profound secrets of the Bodhicitta." The Buddha looked around and began his practice. Bodhicitta is the universal mind of enlightenment. It is the foundation of Buddhahood and the core of Mahayana Buddhism. I use the phrase for sentient beings to refer to Bodhicitta because the essence of Bodhicitta is altruism. It is the selfless dedication to helping all sentient beings be liberated from the sea of suffering and attain happiness. Bodhicitta can be divided into aspiration Bodhicitta and application Bodhicitta. The aspiration of the Bodhicitta is the vow to attain Buddhahood for the sake of liberating all sentient beings. The practice of the Bodhicitta is the actual implementation of this vow, transforming one's determined aspiration into concrete action. These two are like the two wings of a bird, neither of which can be dispensed with. The Buddha continued, saying that the practice of the Bodhicitta can be understood on 4 levels: loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Loving kindness is the act of bestowing happiness upon all beings, with the aspiration that they may be free from suffering. Compassion is the act of alleviating the suffering of all sentient beings by empathizing deeply with their pain. Joy arises from responding to sentient beings' wholesome intentions and meritorious deeds, delighting in their achievements. Generosity is the equal treatment of all sentient beings, without distinction between close or distant, treating everyone impartially. To cultivate the Bodhicitta, one must first recognize the equality between all sentient beings and oneself. All sentient beings possess Buddha nature and have the potential to attain Buddhahood. When we truly realize this, we can generate an equal-minded attitude, and from there, arise the altruistic Bodhicitta. One must understand that all sentient beings are future Buddhas. Therefore, we should treat them with a heart of reverence. The Buddha then continued, "Secondly, one must cultivate compassion for all sentient beings, and upon witnessing their suffering, arouse a strong aspiration to remove their pain and bring them happiness. This compassion does not arise from sympathy or pity, but from a profound understanding of the true nature of sentient beings and a steadfast faith in their eventual attainment of Buddhahood. Third, one must learn to let go of the self. The practice of Bodhicitta is, in essence, a continual process of relinquishing self-centeredness. When we are able to completely forget ourselves and wholeheartedly care for all sentient beings, the Bodhicitta will naturally arise. One must understand that true happiness comes from helping others and witnessing sentient beings being freed from suffering and attaining joy. Fourth, it is essential to practice the Bodhicitta in daily life. Every virtuous thought and every virtuous action is a manifestation of the Bodhicitta. Even the smallest virtuous deed, as long as it is intended for the benefit of all sentient beings, is an expression of practicing the Bodhicitta. Remember, the Bodhicitta is not something lofty and unattainable. It is present in every word and action we undertake. The Buddha paused for a moment, then said, "Now let me tell you a story so that you may better understand the Bodhicitta." Long ago, in ancient India, there was a prince named Siddhartha. He had a kind heart and was filled with compassion, often reflecting on how to help sentient beings liberate themselves from the sea of suffering. One day, Prince Siddhartha went out to play with his two elder brothers. They came to a forest and saw a tigress with her 7 cubs. Due to hunger, the mother tiger was already on the verge of death, and the cubs were crying out loudly from hunger. Prince Siddhartha, upon witnessing this scene, was filled with profound compassion. He knew that if they did not get food, both the mother tiger and the cubs would starve to death. The 2 elder brothers, seeing this situation, only felt a bit pity and wanted to leave, but Prince Siddhartha stopped in his tracks. He thought to himself, as a prince, possessing wealth and status, yet unable to help these poor animals, what meaning does it hold? He resolved to sacrifice himself to save the lives of the mother tiger and her cubs. Then, he let his 2 elder brothers go ahead and stayed behind himself. Prince Sattva approached the tigress without hesitation and leapt down the cliff. However, due to her weakened body, the tigress no longer had the strength to devour him. Prince Siddhartha was robust and used bamboo splinters to pierce his own body, letting fresh blood flow to lure the mother tiger. The tigress, upon smelling the scent of blood, finally regained some strength and began devouring Prince Sattva's body. The 2 elder brothers waited for a long time, and not seeing Prince Siddhartha return, they went back to search for him. When they arrived at the edge of the cliff, they saw only the remains of Prince Sattva's body. They were overwhelmed with grief, knowing that Prince Siddhartha had sacrificed his own life to save the mother tiger and her cubs. Prince Siddhartha's actions moved the gods, who spread his deeds throughout the entire world. People built temples and enshrined his portraits to commemorate the compassion of Prince Sattva. Prince Siddhartha, due to his compassion and sacrifice, ultimately reincarnated as Shakyamuni Buddha, who saved countless sentient beings. This story teaches us that Bodhicitta is a great compassion, a spirit willing to sacrifice oneself for the benefit of all sentient beings. Prince Suddhodana, in order to save the mother tiger and her cubs, selflessly offered his own life without hesitation. His actions are the highest embodiment of the Bodhicitta. His compassion and self-sacrifice ultimately became the causes and conditions for his attainment of Buddhahood. The Buddha continued to teach that in cultivating the Bodhicitta, one must also understand the principle of emptiness. Emptiness does not mean that nothing exists. Rather, it means that all phenomena lack an inherent, unchanging self-nature and arise dependently through conditions and causes. By understanding emptiness, we can let go of attachment and better cultivate the Bodhicitta. For example, when we help others, if we cling to the thought of, "I am helping others," it will give rise to arrogance, thinking that we are admirable. However, if we understand emptiness, we will realize that the helper, the one being helped, and the act of helping itself all arise dependently and lack inherent fixed entities. In this way, we can benefit sentient beings with a mind free from attachment to gain. This is the true Bodhicitta, selfless devotion without seeking any reward. The Buddha also said that in cultivating the Bodhi mind, one must understand the true nature of all dharmas. The so-called true nature of all dharmas refers to the real aspect of things. When we are able to see all phenomena as they truly are, we will not be deluded by appearances, and true wisdom and compassion can arise. For example, when we see someone committing a wrong deed, if we only look at the surface, we may develop feelings of hatred and think that the person is very bad. If we can see that a person's true nature is pure and tranquil, and that they only commit wrongdoings due to ignorance, we will cultivate compassion towards them instead of hatred. This is the cultivation of Bodhicitta from the perspective of the ultimate nature of all dharmas. It involves understanding and tolerance, and granting others the opportunity to reform and renew themselves. The Buddha looked around and saw that his disciples were all attentively listening. So he continued, "The practice of the Bodhicitta must also pay attention to skillful means. Expedient means adopting different methods according to different individuals. Because sentient beings have different inherent natures, the methods of salvation and guidance must also vary according to each individual. Just like a doctor treating illnesses, different medicines must be used for different patients. Sometimes strong medicine is needed. Sometimes gentle medicine is appropriate. Similarly, when benefiting sentient beings, sometimes it is necessary to be strict, and other times it is necessary to be gentle. This is the skillful means in the practice of the Bodhicitta, the application of wisdom and flexible adaptability." The Buddha paused briefly, then concluded that the cultivation of Bodhicitta is a long process that requires continuous diligent effort. As long as we can always maintain our original aspiration for the sake of all sentient beings, we will surely attain Bodhi. Remember, Bodhicitta is not an unattainable goal, but something that each of us can cultivate. From now on, in your daily life, always maintain the mind of compassion for all sentient beings. This is the practice of cultivating the Bodhicitta. One must sow the seeds of altruism in every present moment, allowing them to take root, sprout, and flourish. After the Buddha finished speaking, the assembly fell into complete silence, each person contemplating the Buddha's teachings. After a while, on the 10th day, he respectfully bowed to the Buddha and said, "Bhagwan, your teachings are like nectar poured upon the crown, benefiting me immensely. I understand that Bodhicitta is not an abstract concept, but something to be practiced in daily life. From this day forward, I will constantly remind myself to diligently cultivate the Bodhicitta for all sentient beings, keeping your teachings deeply engraved in my heart and never forgetting them." The young novice monk also said excitedly, "Venerable Shakyamuni, your teaching has enlightened me and opened my mind. I finally understand that the Bodhicitta is not attained in an instant, but requires long-term practice. I will hold all sentient beings deeply in my heart, strive in every present moment to benefit them, and dedicate my life to the welfare of all beings." Other disciples also expressed that the Buddha's teachings gave them a completely new understanding of the Bodhicitta. They will constantly remember the words, "all sentient beings," in their future practice, integrating the spirit of altruism into their lives. The Buddha looked kindly at the gathering and said, "Very good. All of you have gained some understanding. Remember, the practice of Bodhicitta has no end, but do not be anxious. As long as you can always maintain the faith for all sentient beings, you will surely be able to continuously progress on the Bodhisattva path and eventually reach the other shore." Thus, under the Buddha's teachings, Kittagarbha Bodhisattva and numerous disciples developed a deeper understanding of the Bodhicitta. They understood that Bodhicitta is not an unattainable goal, but something to cherish and cultivate in daily life. From that moment onward, the phrase "for all sentient beings" became their guiding principle on the path of practice, inspiring them to continuously advance on the Bodhisattva path. The phrase "for all sentient beings" is like a bright lamp, illuminating the path ahead of us. He reminds us to always maintain a mind of altruism and dedicate our own lives to all sentient beings. Only in this way can we truly comprehend the true essence of the Bodhicitta and ultimately attain unsurpassed enlightenment. May we all generate the Bodhi mind, practice the Bodhisattva path, and ultimately attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.